You may have noticed that Mewtwo is quite powerful in Pokemon Unite, so in this video, I'm going to give you the best Mewtwo counters in the game. Number 1, the Time Stone. The Time Stone is one of 6 Infinity Stones. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually going to give you real Mewtwo counters. I know I could do another joke video like I did with Zacian, and it would be hilarious, but I do have some actual counters for this Pokemon. And maybe 1 or 2 jokes. Number 1 is going to be Slowbro. Slowbro is a counter for basically anything that's overpowered inside of Pokemon Unite because it has the shut down Unite move that nothing can stop. It is the best Unite move inside the entire game. The only thing you're going to have to pray for is that your teammates will follow you and attack that Mewtwo once you have it. Ideally, if you can grab Mewtwo when it has not yet become its Mega Form, it will have less HP, it will be squishier, and hopefully your team can take it down right there. Slowbro is the kryptonite to all things broken. Number 2 is going to be Comfey. Yes, that's right, I said it, Comfey. Comfey is the absolute most ridiculous thing inside of Pokemon Unite, and this takes anything that is broken and makes it more broken. Whether you have a Mewtwo on your team or you have something of a high power level that's trying to fight it, your team's Urshifu or your team's Zacian or whatever it is, if you have a Comfey on an extremely powerful Pokemon, it can survive long enough to hopefully get enough damage to take down something like a Mewtwo. I still think it is one of the most absurd Pokemon in the game without question, and it is a hard counter to a lot of teams because one team without Comfey and one team with Comfey, the team with Comfey has a much better shot of winning, especially in an uncoordinated game. Number 3 is Mewtwo. Look, I said I was gonna have some jokes in here, but this isn't exactly a joke, it's just the truth of it. A team can have a better Mewtwo and that's better. So depending on what the enemy Mewtwo is doing, sometimes Psystrike is a really great option because that move is unstoppable. So if they are the Future Sight build, the build that pulls, if you time it right, you can actually kind of cancel all of their Future Sights with Psystrike. That being said, the Mewtwo versus Mewtwo wars. When will they end? Number 4 is Inteleon. Inteleon is an extremely powerful Pokemon, and up close and personal with Mewtwo, it is very, very not so good and very, very scary. However, Inteleon can play at absurd ranges, has amazing ways to get out of sticky situations, either using acrobatics or Fell Stinger, and at the same time, its damage from a long range, whether that be Snipe Shot or Liquidation, is absolutely brutal. It also dominates early, so if you happen to be in lane with Mewtwo, you're okay. And if Mewtwo even comes from the jungle to gank your lane, Inteleon can still put you in a position to secure enough farm so you're not behind the enemy team. Without question, one of the best attackers inside the game right now, and actually a really reasonable play into a Mewtwo. I think Inteleon is just... oh, I love Inteleon. Also, Mewtwo is so troll that anything that hurts it even a little bit, I'm like, thank you, Inteleon. Thank you for being a little broken, buddy. Number 5 is going to be Lapras. Lapras is an extremely powerful defender inside of Pokemon Unite and has a few things that actually shuts down Mewtwo pretty well. Of course, its Unite move has a big knock-up that can put Mewtwo in a very bad situation. Perish Song can also KO Mewtwo when it's sort of right on that edge where it keeps healing itself in Mega Form. You can actually get a KO off of it using Perish Song. Water Pulse still very good. And then either of its second move, Ice Beam or Bubble Beam, put Mewtwo in a very bad spot. Mewtwo does not like to be shut down and unable to fight. That's a moment where it can't recover health, it can't deal these massive critical hits, and if it's not yet Mega, it's way, way more vulnerable, and Lapras is very good for that. Not only that, Lapras has a really unique passive that negates damage if it's a certain amount. It's based on a percentage of its HP stat. Okay, I just looked it up. It's if damage is more than 10% of its max HP in kind of a single blow, which Mewtwo can absolutely do, that damage is reduced by 25%. So not only does it have good sustain, not only can it kind of deal with Mewtwo and put it into a situation that it doesn't like with some crowd control and maybe KO it, it also can negate some of the bigger pops of damage from Mewtwo, especially the Future Sight build. My number 6 counter to Mewtwo is the Unite Championship Series. The Unite Championship Series is having their World finals in Yokohama, Japan next week. And in the Unite Championship Series, Mewtwo is banned. I told you I'd get some jokes in there, right? Well, there's a joke. Pro players can't handle Mewtwo, but you and I, we have to handle Mewtwo. We have to figure out ways to counter it. We're out here in the trenches. We're fighting every single day against Mewtwo. And what do these pros do while they're sipping green tea in Yokohama? They don't have to deal with it at all. Well, I can tell you this right now. They don't know what it's like to be a regular person. They don't know what it's like to be me and you. That being said, I'm excited to be casting the World Championships in Yokohama. My number 7 counter to Mewtwo is going to be Umbreon. Umbreon is very good, and as you can see, I feel like defenders are actually one of the big plays against this Pokemon. Mean Look can shut Mewtwo down in a couple of ways. First off, it can't get to your team when it's actually Mega'd, which could be very, very huge. And one of the best things to do when Mewtwo is in its Mega form, unless you have something that can absolutely stun it and shut it down so your team can KO it, is to kind of leave it alone, all right? It's a tornado. You don't go outside during a tornado, unless you do. I don't live where tornadoes are, but I'm almost positive you're not supposed to be hanging out in the tornado. You can't do anything about it. You have to let it pass. And that's what happens with Mewtwo, and that is what a Mean Look Umbreon can do. Also, Snarl still has a very, very strong stun if you would like to use that. Umbreon's Unite move will be able to take away any shields it gets through something like Bliss Assistance. So Umbreon is a very, very good counter to a team with Mewtwo on it, and Umbreon is just so dang good in general. Now I've got a few fun ones. My number 8 choice is Clefable. I actually think Clefable does very, very well into Mewtwo for a few reasons. You have possibly enough sustain to let whatever Pokemon is planning on frontlining and fight that Pokemon. You also have Gravity that sort of shuts Mewtwo down a little bit from moving around with Teleport. And then at the same time, you have a Unite move that does a huge burst of healing and also can output a decent amount of damage on Mewtwo. A team with a support and a team without a support is very, very different. This is similar to what's going on with Comfey, but not as much. In general, having a support on a team is a huge advantage, and I think Clefable actually plays decently well into Mewtwo because Mewtwo wants to brawl, and if you're with your allies and you are able to heal them through that fight, they might just make it. They might just make it. What a treat. Number 9, and I'm telling you, I'm getting a little weird here. Duraludon. That's right, I said it, Duraludon. In fact, a few of the sort of RIP ADC Pokemon actually do pretty well. Cinderace, Glaceon, they don't do super well into fighting Mewtwo. But one of Mewtwo's greatest weaknesses, if it really has any, is that its rip on objectives and its secure on objectives is quite bad. That's probably maybe its only downside, is it can't easily just rip an objective. Look, it's not terrible at it, but it's also not amazing either. So when you take a Pokemon like Duraludon who can rip away an objective at range, that's pretty solid. Also, it should be noted that Mewtwo's ability to steal an objective using its Unite move really only works if you're standing right next to the objective. Pokemon like Cinderace, Duraludon, they don't have to deal with that situation. You are far enough away where Mewtwo's Unite move will not steal away the objective from you. Is this going to win you games against Mewtwo? Well, Duraludon's win rate is once again somehow above 50%. You just can't stop that fridge. Number 10 actually comes in from the caster extraordinaire, and it is Chandelure. Chandelure with Imprison does pretty well into Mewtwo because it can't use any of its moves for a moment. Chandelure also plays at pretty great range against something like that, able to lob in those, overheats and then finally one huge burst of damage at the end. It's not the absolute best into this Pokemon. I feel like it's similar to Alolan Ninetales playing Blizzard Avalanche, which I think actually also does pretty decent. Any Pokemon that wants to be right next to you, if you have a way to stop it from using its moves or abilities, or to push it away from you, that is pretty solid. And my final counter for Mewtwo X is going to be Mewtwo Y, coming very, very soon. It's Mewtwo, but it's ranged. Enjoy. I hope you like this. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Love you guys, and I'll see you all next time.